The gospel that we just heard, we very scarcely get to hear it. It appears only once every 3 years in the way that the church has arranged the readings. And I think it's a beautiful and unique gospel because although Jesus and Mary are present in this scene, I think that the real protagonist is Mary. And in fact, when the evangelist John begins writing about the scene, he says, there was a wedding at Cana in Galilee, and the mother of Jesus was there. And then she says, Jesus was there too with his disciples. But he starts saying, the mother of Mary was there. So today, I want to do a catechesis on Mary. I want to use this text to get to speak about Mary, because I think perhaps as Catholics, we need to love her more deeply, and this text really gives us a chance to appreciate her beauty, that special place she has besides God. So we're going to divide this scene in 3 scenes, and we'll see how Mary really acts and what Mary is all about. Scene number 1. They're in the wedding, and Mary notices something. She notices that the wine is running out. And this is typical because many times women are more perceptive than men, right? Women tend to see things that men don't see. They have a special intuition, they have a special capacity of noticing details, and men are more like, oh, I didn't see anything. But women have that special perception. So she gets to see that there's a problem here. But you know what's the beauty? That Mary not only sees the problem, but Mary makes the problem her own. She doesn't dismiss the problem, but she cares about the problem, and she makes the problem her own. So I know that Father David is asking questions to the kids every now and then at 9 a.m. So I want to ask a question to the kids. And whoever gets the right answer gets 2 donuts this morning. Okay, so kids, listen up. When Jesus multiplies the bread, when they were in the desert, the apostles notice that there's a lot of people, but there's not a lot of bread. So who can remember what is the solution that the apostles proposed Jesus in the desert when there's a lot of people, but there's no bread? Selah. Yes, 2 donuts for you today. When the apostles notice that there's no bread, their solution is send them away. Each person take care of their own problems. Send them away because this is not our problem, so make each person solve their food problem. But Mary is completely different. There's no wine, and she doesn't say, oh, it's their problem. She makes their problem her problem. And that's the attitude, many times, of women. They see other people having problems, and they make that problem their own. And that's why I think that when you're sick, there's nothing like having your mom around. Because when you're sick, your mom makes your problem her problem. So what's the first insight that I want to offer you from scene number 1? Today is a good day to remind ourselves that our struggles are Mary's struggles too. That when you struggle and when you suffer, you don't suffer alone. Mary suffers with you. So I think we can find great consolation in knowing that she is with us in our struggles. Second act. Mary notices the struggle. She makes the struggle her own. And what does she do? She brings the struggle before Jesus. Here we have a beautiful image of Mary's intercession. What does she do? She takes a problem from one person and brings the problem before Jesus. And says, Jesus, you take care. Here we have an issue. And tell me, brothers and sisters, isn't that a beautiful image of what Mary does for us when we count on her intercession? When we rely on her, when we turn to her? That's what Mary does. That's what she enjoys doing. That's what she lives for. She lives to bring problems to Jesus. That's what she does. And that's what we should do. We should turn to Mary every time that we have a problem, because she knows how to plead before Jesus. Catholics, why do we turn to Mary? Because we know that if we have a problem, she will present the problem in a much more persuasive way before the Lord than ourselves. She knows how to do it. This is what she's been doing all the time. So here, I want to bring you a question. When you have a problem, or let's be more precise, with the problems that you're facing now, with your struggles, maybe your struggle is financial, maybe your struggle is emotional. Are you keeping your struggle to yourself, or are you bringing your struggle before Mary? Are you trying to solve your problem on your own terms? Maybe you have an addiction and you're trying to solve your addiction with your own strength. Well, today I have a great news. The best thing that you can do with your struggles is bring it to Mary, because Mary brings your struggle before Jesus. And that's what Mary really knows how to do. Last scene, and with this I finish. She brings the struggle before Jesus, and Jesus apparently has a very harsh answer. There are other places where Jesus appears to have harsh answers with Mary. Do you remember that part, kids? When they come up to the Lord and they say, Lord, your mother is outside looking for you. And Jesus says, who's my mother and who's my brothers? Today also looks that Jesus is giving a harsh answer to Mary. She says, how does this problem concern me? My hour has not yet come. But Mary says to do whatever he does. And I've always been surprised by this answer, because it looks like Mary's saying, oh, you'll do whatever I do because you're my son. Like Mary's being a bossy mom, like sometimes moms can be, sometimes. But this is the solution that I find. Let me ask you this question. Who knows a son better than a mom? Who knows how to read a son? Who knows how to interpret every single sign from a boy than a mother? I remember that when I was growing up, my mom always told me, yo te he parido. That means, I gave birth to you. You're not going to kid me. You're not going to fool around with me. You're not going to be able to deceive me. I've seen you grow up, and I know everything about you. Mary and Jesus lived together for 30 years. Who knew Jesus better than Mary? Nobody. So this is my interpretation. When Jesus says, my hour has not yet to come, Mary saw something in Jesus. Maybe in his eyebrows, maybe in his pupil, maybe in the way that he said things, and Mary said, he's saying no, but maybe he's saying yes. And that's why she says, go do whatever he does. And what's the last insight that I want to offer you? This scene really shows us how close Mary and Jesus were. Mary and Jesus cannot be separated. They know each other, they complement each other. They're so united that you can't do them apart. And that's why, brothers and sisters, when you grow closer to Jesus, you also grow closer to Mary. You cannot love the Son without the Son telling you, love my mother too. And at the same time, whenever you grow closer to Mary, she leads you to Jesus. So, when Scripture says, man cannot separate what God has brought together, speaking about marriage, I think that the text is also speaking about Mary and Jesus. We cannot separate what God has brought together. So we cannot be afraid as Catholics of loving Jesus and Mary. So brothers and sisters, let me finish with this. Scene number 1, Mary sees the problem. Mary makes the problem her own. Remember that your problems are Mary's problems. You're not alone in your struggles. Scene number 2, Mary brings the problem before Jesus. That is what she loves doing. She loves interceding for us. So remember, whatever struggle you have this week, whatever problem you're carrying, don't keep it to yourself. Bring it to Mary so that Mary can bring it to Jesus. Scene number 3, Jesus says no, apparently, but Mary knows Jesus better than anyone, and she reads beyond the signs, or she reads the signs. And this is an amazing reminder of how Mary and Jesus are so deeply united. And no one can separate Jesus from Mary. And when you come to Jesus, He tells you, love Mary. And when you go to Mary, she tells you, love Jesus. So let us rejoice today in the fact that we have such a great mother in heaven.